The current global economic model, which relies on fossil raw materials, is evidently not sustainable. When we look at the speed of demographic growth and challenges posed by climate change, we need to think of alternative models for our economy. These models should minimize the overall consumption of energy and material and maximize the share of renewable resources in the economic system. The bioeconomy is one such alternative model. For Europe's forest resources, it offers both opportunities and challenges. How is the concept of bioeconomy taken up in forest policy? What are pros and cons of the current bioeconomy developments in forestry sectors in Europe? For answering these and other policy-related aspects of forest-based bioeconomy, we interviewed Dr. Helga Polzel from University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences in Vienna. What does the bioeconomy mean for forests policy?
Maybe let me start by the question how bioeconomy means at all. There are several definitions provided, for example by the OECD or the European Commission. The latter, the European Commission, has published an update to its bioeconomy strategy in 2018 and gives the following definition for it. Bioeconomy covers all sectors and systems that rely on biological resources, their functions and principles. It includes and interlinks land and marine ecosystems and the services, all primary production sectors, agriculture, forestry, fishery and aquaculture, and all economic and industrial sectors. To be successful, the European bioeconomy needs to have sustainability and circularity at its heart. So forestry and thus forest policy are strongly linked to such a bioeconomy. Forests produce and service ecosystem services such as wood, fuel, clean air, game meat, berries. They control erosions, they help with sediment and nutrition retention, store carbon, and are a source of biodiversity, to name a few. Thus, all of those products, but also services, such as recreation, become bioeconomy potentials. New value chains, including jobs, can be created as a result. In this new context, however, forest policy plays an important role, as it regulates as to what is allowed and what is not allowed in and beyond the forests. New governance forms may become more important in the future in this regard. For instance, companies use self-governance mechanisms, like corporate social responsibility reporting, to show that they are sustainable. For instance, this includes the resources they used and that are sustainably sourced, the materials that they reuse and services that they reuse, and it shows how social sustainability is important to them. This self-governance can be extended to industry branches, for instance, when independent auditors verify the results. Co-governance forms can also extend to partnerships between companies and NGOs, like in the case of the Forest Stewardship Council, FSC, where sustainably sourced timber is certified and sold to customers.
How much does the current EU bioeconomy strategy encompass forestry?
The EU Bioeconomy Strategy was launched in 2012, the first time, and updated in 2018. While it hardly referred to forests in its initial stage, now it does refer to forests. This can also be seen from the definition that I provided in the beginning of the interview. Bioeconomy is understood to cover all primary production sectors, including forestry. In the EU Bioeconomy Strategy, the sustainable management of natural resources, including forests, is an important objective, as degradation of ecosystems and biodiversity loss shall be avoided. However, foresters shall also be supported in diversifying their sources of income and to manage better market risks. The strategy clearly points at new opportunities for the forest sector, including that non-renewable resources could be replaced through renewable ones. For instance, in the construction sector, in the packaging sector, but also with regards to textiles, furniture and chemicals, but others also. Since it is important to know more about the resource bases, including forests, more data and better information is called for by the EU Bioeconomy Strategy. While some countries have very good insights into their forest data are the selectees. Please keep in mind, however, that the bioeconomy strategy is no legal instrument, and countries do not necessarily have to follow this idea. It remains a strategy.
Can you describe what are pros and cons of the current bioeconomy developments in forestry sectors in Europe?
That is a very tricky question, as it's still ongoing and not finished. What we can see, however, is that the bioeconomy can potentially lead to a better and more efficient resource management, the development of new products that in the past were seen as waste, new jobs in rural areas that are linked up to social innovations. For example, new services such as forest bathing tours are offered. A bioeconomy does, however, also come with risks attached. Thus, trade-offs between the use and the production of forest products and services may become apparent. For example, shall more biomass be produced for energy production? Or shall the very same forest be used for nature conservation and recreation increase? These are the decisions that forest owners have to take. An increase in these bioeconomy developments may also lead to a dislocation of resource use to other countries and even continents. Thus, if more biomass is needed, but for example the price or production pattern is not appreciated, then the industry may buy elsewhere to meet their needs. Resource security for them is really important, but in times of climate change and increasing drought, this may turn out to be difficult so.
Which countries are the leaders of forest-based bioeconomy policies and why?
I would not necessarily say that there are leader countries, but there are certainly countries like Finland and Germany that were first mover countries, thus developed bioeconomy strategy very early in the European Union. Here especially Finland put the focus on forests. This is however not surprising given the large amount of forests. Many bioeconomy strategies exist by now, but they do not prioritize the same aspects concerning a forest-based bioeconomy. Our research has shown that we can distinguish between a northern, a Mediterranean and a Western European approach. So what does this mean? The northern approach is to secure the industry's competitiveness, while they acknowledge public access rights and the value added generated by nature tourism, hunting and the need to care for forest biodiversity. The Mediterranean approach sees the forest sector's relevance in relation to wood processing and paper industries. They are, however, largely dependent on imported biomass. The Western European approach sees a need for an increase and optimize the bioresource production and to protect forest biodiversity. Furthermore, forest adaptation to climate change and recreation is emphasized also. Eastern European countries are being interested and have, to my knowledge, not really been active with regards to bioeconomy. However, when analyzing the policy documents from Lithuania, we have learned that they remain rather undecided with regards to the role of forests in the bioeconomy context. So this is something where we need to learn more.
What is potential role of forest owners in forest-based bioeconomy perspective?
If we look into bioeconomy strategies themselves, then we cannot find too much of an information. However, since forest owners are central to the production and provision of forest ecosystem services, they are also central to a forest-based bioeconomy. We have not researched as to how forest owners perceive the bioeconomy themselves, but we have collected information on how forest stakeholders perceive it. So as for forest stakeholders, for instance, colleagues in Germany and Sweden have found that the bioeconomy is like a binding concept or bridging concept that brings forest stakeholders closer to each other from both sides, from the ownerships and the NGOs. So the bioeconomy is seen as an opportunity to rebrand themselves and to legitimize their activities. Some respondents even said, "We are the bioeconomy." Similar results were found in the Austrian context also. However, it remained also clear that the bioeconomy is a fuzzy concept and its meaning is still in the flux, so it's not stable. Forest stakeholders themselves have not been involved much during the drafting of most bioeconomy strategies though.
What are the policy recommendations for development of European forest-based bioeconomy?
I think it is difficult to provide policy recommendations for the development of a European forest-based bioeconomy, as the importance of forests in terms of its share, main aims and policy problems varies considerably across countries. However, what can be said is the following. First of all, there is a need for coherence of bioeconomy strategies with legislation and sectoral policy frameworks to guarantee taking sustainability issues seriously. This means that when new products are developed, they may not be in line with existing legislation. Take the construction sector as an example. In multi-story buildings, fire regulations may hamper the use of timber for ceiling. Despite the fact that it is technically possible, it will just not be allowed to do that. This said, taking a bioeconomy seriously will also mean that legislation needs to be changed and maybe sectoral policy frameworks reworked to provide for the use of renewable materials. Secondly, the creation of a clearer vision as to what bioeconomy means for forests in the different regions of Europe could be important. This would help to reduce possible divergent interpretation of a bioeconomy and strengthen its acceptance. Finally, forest stakeholders, including owners and citizens, shall be systematically included within a bioeconomy and forest context to create and strengthen the acceptance as well as to increase its legitimacy. Just doing more with more will not work, also because the resource usage might be in competition with each other.
More information about political framework for forest-based bioeconomy you will find in other material developed for this course.